Hey guys, my name's Chris Quintella. I'm in Dr. Rottenberg's abnormal psychology class, and I'm going to be discussing three things that I took from the class that I found to be of personal and intellectual interest. So the first thing I would like to start off with is the fact that the first week of class, I remember Dr. Rottenberg talking about this whole field of abnormal psychology is based on very loose definitions of what is considered abnormal behavior or psychopathology. I remember you showed an example of the Green Bay Packers fans, shirtless in the freezing cold, snowing, probably a playoff game, whatever it may be. That taken out of that context would have been considered extremely bizarre. Why that puts not only their health in risk, their lives at risk for freezing, hypothermia, things like that, but it was accepted and even encouraged by 80,000 fans, whatever it may be, in the stadium. So I think abnormal psychology, what people consider to be abnormal behavior, is really dependent upon social context. And that's something I feel is very interesting. I would not have thought of it that way at all. The fact that he gave me an example I can relate to, like with sports fans, for example, really put it into perspective for me. Wow, now that I think about that, yes, they're fanatics, and yes, they're showing loyalty to their team and supporting their team, but that is kind of abnormal that they're putting their lives at risk for that. So that's something I found interesting. My second point, something I really took from the class, was the DSM, that psychopathology as a whole, psychiatrists don't have a solid foundation to build upon to diagnose these illnesses. I talked about it in the paper that the DSM has validity to an extent, but not so much reliability. Dr. A might state patient X has schizophrenia, but Dr. B says patient X has bipolar, or something along those lines. There's no reliability, because the thing with mental illness, it's not so easily observable under a microscope. You can see, oh, this cell is overproducing this, or whatever it may be. It's more of the mind as a construct is failing, or there's something wrong with the thought process. So in diagnosing mental illnesses, there could be many symptoms of the same disease. So symptoms XYZ could be for schizophrenia, but symptoms XYZ could also be for bipolar or for this. There's just so much variability in the exhibition of symptoms, and that's all we can take it off of. As psychiatrists, I feel like if I were a psychiatrist, all I can base my diagnosis off of is this book that says if these symptoms are like this, they have this. And I found that so interesting, that this whole field is based upon something that's really touchy. The third thing and final point I took from this class is working at an elementary school. I obviously see a lot of children with ADHD, ADD, things of that nature, and I think to an extent there's an over-diagnosis of this because pharmaceutical industries want money. So I feel like putting 5 and 6-year-old boys and girls on antipsychotics or drugs to mess with their brain chemistry is completely wrong, because they're 5 and 6 years old. How do you expect them to act? So that's one thing I took, is that the industry as a whole has some ulterior motives into funding the pharmaceutical and drug industry. And honestly, those three things are something that are of serious intellectual and personal interest to me from the class.